Emmanuel Community.
Welcome to Celebrate Aging. I'm Vicki Marthaler, your hostess today, and you can see I am surrounded by some maybe familiar things to you. I'm getting tired of looking at the snow, and I'm thinking about planting and spring, and I have a little slip of a plant in here, and you just want to get your fingers dirty. You want to start being outside where it's warming up, and how the frozen ground can hold seed that will sprout and grow. It's like amazing. Those crocuses that start poking through in the very first warm days of spring are miracles, aren't they? And they give us hope. And with hope we get encouragement, and with encouragement we get strength, and with strength we go forward and live our lives in celebration. I want to share with you a little devotion that that has meant a lot to me and reminded me that God is with us every day of our life and that He is in the business of bringing us hope. There is and maybe you've said it before, I'm reading from the Old Hermit's Almanac, and it's a little daily devotional book by Edward Hayes, and it's quite eccentric, and it's not your traditional devotional book, but it's full of so many fun and interesting things that remind us that God is fun and interesting. And this is called Godspeed Day. Have you ever given that blessing of Godspeed? Well, this is where it all came from. And it reminds us that way back when, in the days of England and the days of yore, they celebrated the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas began day 1, and the next days that followed were the 12 days of Christmas, and they were all a holiday. Every day was a feast, every day was a party, every day was a day off from work. Can you imagine 12 days off, the whole countryside doing that? Must have been crazy. All the food to eat, it must have been fat and sassy by the time the 12th day came. Well, after those 12 days of Christmas, they had to go back to work. And this is what this writer tells us about it. That when the 12 days of feasting and celebrating were completed, then it was time for the farm workers to return to the plow and to all their labors. And as the plowmen departed for work on this day, they did so dressed in white. Can you imagine any farmer going out into the fields dressed in white? I just laugh thinking about that. And this is back before tractors and all the modern conveniences. This is back when there was the oxen or the horse and the plow. The man actually had to hang on to it for dear life to break up that ground, so you know that they were going to get dirty. But the white signified new beginning. The white signified this new year, and it signified hope. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is hope. So as the plowmen would depart for work on this day, they did so dressed in white and singing a song with the repeating lyric, "God speed the plow." With the passage of time, this wish for success and prosperity dropped the last two words of the blessing, and it became simply, Godspeed. God speed the plow. God speed. God, go before us. Soften up that earth. Soften it up so that we can plow well and straight lines, that we can plant the seed and know that we will have a harvest come fall. God speed. Well, I don't know how many of you do any actual gardening or farming these days, but still, as we get up and get ready to go to work, we too are faced with work that needs to be done, that we have to plow through the paperwork or plow through the telephone messages. And what a prayer it is to say, Godspeed. May God go before you and make the path straight, lower the mountains, raise up the valleys, give us a solid ground to walk on. Well, I'd like to think that here at Emmanuel, we are ground that is a place where people can plow through their life circumstances and that they can have hope and know that God is here through the hands and the voices and the feet of those who care for them. I'd like to share with you a couple of stories of hope that we find here at Emmanuel. Of course, Emmanuel is a nursing home. It also has apartment buildings. We have Lamplighter and the Madison. We have the cottage. Now, some people are living very independently, and some people need a little bit of assistance, maybe medical help a little bit now and then, or they have housekeeping, they have meals, things that are beneficial to them that they can continue to live well and safe. We also have community helpers, people, staff that go out into the community to people's homes and help with personal cares and with what is ever needful, housework, so that people can again live safe and well. And there is a family out in our community, and a gentleman has got a myriad of health issues, and his wife is caring for him at home, and our staff go out and help her daily with some of those cares. And this gentleman, because of his illnesses, hasn't spoken for a long, long time. In fact, it's been very difficult to communicate with him and for him to communicate with other people. Sometimes it gets very frustrating, and he gets upset because he is not being understood. And isn't that how it is when sometimes these issues come to us and we face these health challenges? And so sometimes it's easy to lose hope, like, oh my goodness sake, this is what, I don't know what else to do. We've tried everything and we don't know how to make it as good as we can, and we want him to be comfortable, and yet it seems like we're not quite there. So we continue, we persevere, we try new things, we try things that have worked in the past, and we continue on giving our care. Well, it was just the other day that the staff were out at this person's house, and they were, again, giving care, and the gentleman walked into, he needs assistance, but he walked into the room and he saw his wife. And he looked at her, and the first time in over a year that he has ever even said a word, he said, "I love you." Can you imagine what it was for that wife to hear those words? Can you imagine what it was for our staff person to hear those words and to know that all the frustrating times that they've gone back and forth, and that it was worth it, because here was a man who was able finally to communicate clearly what he was feeling inside, and for her to share that moment with them. Give them hope. That's what hope is all about. Sometimes on our special care unit, when people have Alzheimer's, their words get confused and their thoughts are mixed, and we're not quite sure if we're making all the right connections. But I remember walking into the special care unit just the other day, and one of our residents walked up to me, he gave me a hug, and he said, "You're the one I love." How wonderful is that? Some of his words all get mixed up, but he was able to clearly share his feelings, and what hope that gives me as I continue to minister here. Another way of giving hope is we give hope through our therapy. I've had many families say, "Oh, I feel so confident now because my parent is stronger. They are not shaky when they get up. They're more confident in their walking." I've had family members that come and say, "I am so glad that I brought my parent here, or my aunt or my uncle. They have blossomed. In their home, they were isolated, and they weren't involved in activities. It was a very, very narrow living. And now that they're here, and there's people around, and they're energized, and they're being stimulated with conversation and activities, they've blossomed. They're like a whole new person. I've got my mom back. I've got my dad back. This is good." This is what hope is. It's like when you plant a seed. You're not quite sure how long it will be before it starts coming up through the ground, but you have hope that it will grow and it will be good. And so today we're going to take some dirt, and we're going to put right here in this pot, knowing that we need some good dirt here. And I've got this clipping of a geranium, and I'm going to just put a little water in there, loosen up that, wet that dirt, and I'm going to stick it right in here, because we know that all growing things need care and love. So do people. That's what we do here at Emmanuel. We're giving care, we're loving, and we have a lot of hope. Hope for you. Celebrate with us. Have a blessed day.